Porrepäivi pohkaide. Hello to all. As Kirste said, unfortunately, I'm not be able to participate in the conference on the spot, but let me mention that you have another expert of Finnish Sámi history there, Jukka Nysönen, and maybe he will also be my spy there to tell me later what kind of discussions did you have. Yeah, yes, as said, I have done a historical survey for the Truth and Reconciliation Commission in Finland, and these are notions about that work. My paper today is dealing with the opposite concepts of visible assimilation or visible colonialism versus unvisible or non-argued policies. And there are discussions about intentional and non-intentional politics, and I'm a little unsatisfied for that non-intended politics, the concept of that, because there are many sub-intentional tendencies going under this intentional and non-intentional politics, and then we are dealing with attitudes and Sami representations and asymmetrical power relations and structures of majority-minority encounters, which are not written in historical documents as such, but rather to be revealed through careful analysis using interdisciplinary methods. And there are lots of visible turns and colonial impacts in the Finnish Sami history. For instance, the effects of the border closings, especially in the 19th and 20th centuries, they are also essential for Finnish Sami history, and they are still influencing quite strongly, for instance, among the Skolt Sami who were forced to move to Inari area after the Second World War. Then we have these racial consequences of racial theories or the scientific colonialism, as it is called, how research is used and abused in public discussions. And as a result of these processes, we have had repatriation and reburying of Sami remains to Inari and Utsjoki first in 1995 and then in 2022. And then also consequences of the Second World War, especially the Lapland War, as it is called in the Finnish side, or the German War, that also affected to northern Norway as strongly as to Finland. And then evacuation period followed by the reconstruction area, when the Sami land was kind of also mentally reconstructed, as has been said. And this was a strong assimilation phase with Finnish values and ideals in Finland, and then Norwegian values and ideals in Norway. And boarding school experiences are a part of this, and the problematic role of the school system. And then we are dealing with the building of the reservoirs and other actions concerning the environment. When we are talking about the colonialism or colonial actions, in a broader sense, it means overtaking and replacing the Sami structures with those of the majority, including social forms, land use traditions, as well as language and culture. And there the concept of colonialism is much used together with idea of asymmetrical power relations. And reason for contemporary controversies is not that the Sami structures vanished, but rather that they survived underneath. And we have nowadays layered structures colliding in modern conflicts. And that's why the Sami are often saying that the colonial history still continue. And there has been quite a lot of mistrust for the commission work also in Finland. Well, in Norway and Sweden, as we know, assimilation policies were powerful, uh, partly because, for instance, in Norway they extended into the realm of legislation, especially concerning language and land ownership, which intensified colonial actions and strategies. In Finland, similar legislation is not to be found. There were no official acts or instructions restricting, for instance, the use of Sami language. In, in practice, however, the result was the same, that no special actions were made to protect Sami languages or the cultural or social characteristics in Finland until 1970s. So the Finnish colonialism or assimilation was not necessarily a history of visible or concrete oppression, but a way of nearly friendly supplanting Sami infrastructures and silencing opposite voices. Uh, Tuomo Itkonen, vicar of Inari parish in the 20s and 30s, was calling this Finnish master thinking, that the Finns know what is best for the children or the Lapps or the Sami. Well, some examples concerning the language. The Act for Compulsory Education in 1921 did not make hindrances for teaching in your mother language, because it was meant especially the Finnish for the Finnish Swedish minority. However, when the Finnish Sami friends made numerous initiatives and proposals for having education in and on Sami languages, they were rejected for multiple reasons. In fact, there is a tradition of excuses in the Finnish administration why not to support Sami languages and others. That Sami are a small population, there are many languages, and if we can't help one, then if we can't help all of them, then it's no use to help even one. Sami parents don't want teaching in Sami for the children, because always you find a Sami parent that doesn't want uh, the Sami language to be taught in schools. No teacher, no or teaching materials, or no use to spend money for a vanishing culture. Thus, the right for learning Sami at school was only formal and did not actualize in practice. And the same was with cultural and social levels, where the majority overrode the Sami rights. Sami own traditions and practices were ignored together with the languages. An example of this is the long history of Sami language in Finnish schools. That already I have heard from my parents' generation, and now they are hearing it in the commission hearings, that the Sami children of that time are saying that it was forbidden to speak Sami language in the school. that it was forbidden by the teachers and caretakers in dormitories. And they were even washing their mouth because of speaking Sami language. Thus, there were no laws, legislation for that, but the both parties assumed that it is forbidden, and that sustained the practices that have been quite traumatic for the Sami. Finns felt themselves, however, to be benefactors because they compared many times to how Norway and Sweden were treating their Finnish minorities and Sami minorities, but of course Finns were more interested on the Finnish minorities, Kveens and meänkieliset. Jukka Nysönen has stated that there was already early there was an idea of the good state of Finland, which has been ruled by Sweden and Russia, and how a people that has been oppressed by others could itself oppress their Sami population. And according to Nysönen, there was this kind of incongruous stance of equality formed, for instance, in the committee report for Lapland in 1938, saying that if the Sami have the same benefits as the other Finnish citizens, they are equal with other Finns. But in reality, this equality worked on ground of Finnish society and values and language. Thus, there was a very strong idea of uniformity disguised in the concept of equality, and it was criticized already then in those times. So it is all right to have critical stance from the historians also. Well, special feature of Finnish Sami history is that compared to Sweden and Norway is that there was no visible resistance or ethnopolitics in the beginning of the 20th century. In 1932, the Finnish Sami Friends established a society for promoting lab culture, while the first Sami organization, Sami Lihtu, started only after the Second World War. There was or we can analyze silent resistance among the Sami. Well, it was not very efficient tactics, more an action based on inaction or reflecting passive resistance, mostly based on not doing. So the Sami were not activists, but passivists, active passivists. But on the other hand, similar not doing seems to have been tactics among the civil servants too. In 1930s, Tuomo Itkonen emphasized that the laziness or undoing by the decision makers could be as unequal act as would be some kind of oppression if it resulted the nationality or language of a minority to be threatened. An example of the official undoing is the Committee of Sami Affairs at the beginning of 1950s, because there was pressure after the World War. There was pressure for the government by Sami Lihtu, in which there were many Sami war veterans, and they were saying that we were loyal to the state at war without demanding special rights for Sami as Sami. And now we are expecting some counterword from you. Well, this report in 1952 was an odd exception in the series of state committees. For the first time, Sámi were members of that committee, and they even were half of the committee. And they made a very radical proposal, such as establishing a special Sámi area with Sámi administration and a state fund for that. And they also suggested exemption from the military service for the Sámi, as was proposed in the Strömstad Treaty in 1751. And the odd thing here was also that the result, that the report was totally ignored by the state administration, which did not react at all for the committee report. It was buried in its time. In 1950s and 60s, the Finnish state administration kept the Sámi issues carefully out of their tables, even when developing legislation concerning the Sámi people. These were treated equally only as part of Finnish issues and problems. For instance, the construction of Lokka and Porttipahta reservoirs, which affected heavily to the Sámi reindeer cooperative Lapin Paliskunta. The Sámi problems were forgotten. And also when Sámi Lihtu proposed a special arrangement for improving the conditions of the reindeer Sámi, the Sámi population that were in the reindeer business, the state decided to have a legislation, but it was concerning all the reindeer herders of northern Finland. As you know, in Finland there are lots of Finns also working in reindeer herding. And thus the Sámi as a minority and a special case of landless reindeer Sámi was not solved this time. Well, at the end of 1960s, Sámi frustration was shaped in the ethnopolitical movement, which was planning a radical national organization that would be networked with the Nordic Sámi organization. And it made pressure for the state to do something. And again, they established a committee, maybe hoping that this would be the same kind of destiny as for the earlier committee. But one thing that the committee made at once was establishing the Sámi delegation in 1972 and 3. And it was the first democratically elected representative body of the Sámi in Nordic countries. It was very historical. And the committee report worked as a program for Sámi policies for the next decade. In that, a special Sámi area was defined, a special Sámi administration was partially realized in Sámi delegation and later in Sameting. But the problem was the proposed Sámi management or control over the Sámi lands. In 1990, a new proposal for Sámi law was made in order to arrange the administration of Sámi land use. And this later merged into the claim for the indigenous ILO convention. And as you know, Norway ratified it in 1990, but Finland did not. This era from 1980s to the middle of 1990s was very fruitful for the legislation for the Sami. There were education acts, uh, approved the Language Act in 1992, Sami Parliament Law in 1995, and the Sami were recognized as an indigenous people in the Constitution of Finland in 2000. However, at the same time, and for kind of same reasons, the Sami law proposal and later the question of indigenous rights evoked a huge debate and conflict in Finland that is still continuing. Because a counter movement was started because part of the local population who the Sami considered as Finns were demanding the same rights that the Sami were having. There was clearly a fear for of the assumed growth of Sami rights, and these people resisted special Sami rights, but also competed over them, renewing or taking over concepts like forest lapse, and forest Sami, blurring the concepts of the Sami and indigenous peoples. And this postponed the arrangement of land management, but anyway, it led to the establishment of Sameting, which started in 1996 as a cultural self-government, following now Nordic models. Well, to be short, during recent 20 or 25 years, the political development of the Sami rights has frozen in Finland. The conflict has closed up to be a quarrel over the definition of the Sami, which now has become a new efficient excuse for tackling or postponing any reform or action in order to improve indigenous issues in Finland. And this was the case, for instance, in 2015, when the ILO convention was rejected in Finnish parliament. Ironically, the representatives of Lapland, who are all Finnish, of course, Finns, have been very influential in resisting the indigenous rights. In the capital of Finland, they represent the experts of northern issues, although in reality they are a party in the conflict. And they represent the Finnish majority of Lapland and also municipalities which have local control to land use, and they don't want any competition for that from the Sami side. Well, to have a more positive ending, the conflict also reflects the strengthening of the Sami status in recent decades. The Sami administration is a remarkable employer which has many kinds of influences for the Sami society and the Finnish society also. Sami culture is a cause of pride for the Sami, since the Sami art, for instance, has become nationally and internationally known. And the Sami languages are largely supported by the decision makers, even the representatives of Lapland. And there has been a great development of school education. Revitalization has been successful among the Ana Sami and also the Skolt Sami people. And there is this Language Act, but although there are problems in everyday level. So, as a conclusion, in Finland, the special characteristics of the Sami people seems often remained unrecognized. and this kind of lack of visibly subjugating legislation and orders makes it difficult to point out official mistreatments, as well as to evaluate and reconcile the effects of this kind of invisible policies. And the discussion on the historical problems of the Sámi can be limited to a quarrel if there were some maltreatments or not, instead of recognizing the colonial past and aiming at conclusions and solutions. About this truth and reconciliation work, I have been saying that it's essential to map and try to reconcile problems and even traumatic experiences and how to prevent them and identify the similar issues today. But I have also emphasized that how to take history also as an empowering resource, sharing the Sámi experiences of coping with the changes. And you must remember, maybe my presentation was also quite negative about the Sámi survival in the Finnish society, but I have been emphasizing that we must remember the Sámi, that Sámi are living their lives and living their own histories. I have called them our histories, the histories of individuals, families, kins, villages, and the whole ethnopolitical movement. And it emphasizes the diversity of the Sámi histories and articulates the ability and the power of Sámi foremothers and fathers, and it is very important to remember. But I think this was all that I wanted to say. Thank you.